Hello everyone, this is Dr. Neeraj Khairwal, Head of R&D at L1X. Today we are going to see L1X access version and data contracts that deal with the access control management, data management and version management. So as a part of this project, we will be able to see that you can request and approve permission to the other user to share the data on your behalf. You can request and approve the data share. We can check the pending request, status of the request, and what are the approved shares related to the data storage management. You can create that data and check data details, and version control management deals with submitting the version control request and getting the shared data. As a part of the prerequisites, will be required to have the L1X SDK environment setup. In case you have not yet started with the L1X contracts, you can refer to our first video in the series and check how to set up the L1X SDK environment. For this scenario, we need to have three users, Super, Emma and Eva, having their own wallets with some faucets, and then Super is the one deploying the contract. Next, we move to installation. So just to give you an overview, as a part of this project, we will have access control, smart contracts, data storage contracts, types, dependency and version control contracts. So if you would have seen our previous videos related to say profile cards or gaming, then you would have an idea that we will be required to create cargo projects for all of these, and apart from the types, we are required to compile, deploy and initialize each one of them. So let us start with the installation. We'll create a directory. We start with types dependency. So for this we are required to create cargo for types. This is done. We'll open this in code so that it is easy for us to access it and update the contacts which are required. So as you notice, we have lib.rs file, access control interface and data storage interface. Apart from that, we need cargo terminal file as well. So let us move to types, source, and we'll start with lib.rs first. The reason being, this is the default file which is created in our cargo project. So we have copied the code. Okay, first let us close this. We'll go to types, source, lib.rs. It contains the default smart contract which we need to replace with the one we have in the GitHub repo. Next, we'll go to access control interface. I'll copy this code, add the file with the same name, access control interface, add the code here, and the next one that we have is data storage interface. Let us copy this code as well and we'll add the file data storage interface. So this is also done. Next comes our cargo.toml file. Let us copy this and then we will add it here, put it here. This is done, right? Next, we'll move on to access control installation. We need to create the L1X project using this command. So we'll put it here. This is done. Now we need to get the lib.rs file and the cargo terminal files. So I'll go to access control, source, lib.rs. I'll copy this. Go to the access control, source, lib.rs, and replace the default smart contract with the smart contract we have in the GitHub repo. Next, I move to cargo terminal, copy the code here for the dependencies as such, delete the default one and update the one in the repo. So this is done. After this, we are at this stage of building the access control contract, where we will be doing the cargo L1X build after going to the respective folder. So we'll try to build the contract. So once this is done, we'll be able to get the access control.object file, after which we will be going for the deployment of the smart contract. So to deploy the contract, we would need a wallet with some faucets in it. So we will first ensure that we are using node version 18 by using this command nvm use 18, and then we will import wallet of super. Wallet import, give the private key of the super. So here are the wallets of super, Emma and Eva, the three users that we need, and I'll simply copy the private key of super to import the wallet. So this is done. So next what I would do is, just give me a second, I'll just place it. Okay, so the wallet is imported. Next we'll go for the deployment. So once the contract is deployed, now we can initialize the access control contract. So for this, we don't need to pass any arguments as such. We simply need to place the deployed contact address here. So contact has got deployed. I'm copying this contact address. Putting it here, and let us run the command. So as we know, since we have multiple smart contracts, what we'll be doing is we will be saving the initialized contact address. So the contact has initialized. Let us save this for future reference. So here I have created a template containing the name of the contacts that we'll be initializing. Now we start with data storage installation. We'll create a cargo L1X project for this. Same process. So this is done. Next step that I need to do is get the lib.rs and cargo terminal files. So we'll go to data storage, source, lib.rs. We'll copy this and here we will go to data storage, source, lib.rs and replace the default with the code that we have in the repo. Next we go to cargo terminal, copy the raw file, go to cargo terminal and replace the default with the dependencies that we need. So this is done. Next we again come back to the readme file. So we are done with this process. Now we will build the data storage contract. So for that purpose we will traverse to this directory and then do cargo L1X build. So as a part of this we will get the data storage object file. Next step is to go for the data storage contract deployment. So as we know, we will be required to have the wallet store of Super. So one process we have already seen, that what we can do through command prompt, how we can import a wallet and set it to be default. So in this case, the other process that we would follow is, as of now, if you notice in data storage, we don't have wallet store. Whereas in access control, if you notice, we have this wallet store. And since we are required to use the same wallet like that of Super, I'll simply copy this, go to data store, click on it and then paste the file. So if you notice, wallet store has been created in data storage as well. So this is done. We will copy this command to deploy the contract, put it here and deploy the contract. Once this is done, next step is to initialize the data storage contract. Now if you notice, we are doing what? We are actually making this pub key as well as content converted to a base64 format, because that is how it is required. And where is it required? So if you notice, this is our command to initialize the data storage contract. So let us see what we are required to pass as the arguments. So first one is name, the name of the data, description of the data, pub key. So this public key of the user needs to be in base64 format, and the content, the actual content of your data needs to be in base64 format. So we need to take care while initializing the data storage contract. Else if we pass base64, if we pass public key or the content as it is, then in that case this contract won't get initialized successfully. So we need to be careful while initializing this data storage contract. So let us start with the first one, to first get the base64 format for the super pub key. So I'll run the command here and I need to place super's pub key here. This is the one. I'll copy it and in this variable I'll replace it with super's pub key. So this is the base64 I am getting for super pub key. What I would do is I would add it here, keep it for my reference. Base 64 of what? Super pub key. So this is there, and next we will have the base 64 for the content, right? So I'll copy this command. So what do I want to pass as content? It can be anything. I'm just mentioning, say, super content, and I'm getting the base 64 format for this one as well. We will copy it, as we would need both these details to pass as the arguments for the initialization purpose. So this is done. Now I'll copy the command for initialization. Sorry, I've put it here. Now let us try to replace all the variables for the arguments as well as the deployed contact address. So based on the practice that we have been following, we'll start with the deployed contact address. So this is the one. Next we have his name. So say I want to give the name as the super data. So data description I'm giving is demo data description. Okay, pub key. So this is something important for us as such. I'll replace this with the pub key. Okay, we have it here. So we'll copy it from here itself. Okay, and the content as well. So I'll copy the content base64 format. So this command will initialize the data storage contract. Now to confirm the data storage initialization, we will make a simple read call to the method owner of this smart contract to check who is the owner of this initialized contact address. So for this purpose, we will simply copy this command, put it here. This is the initialized contact address. We will copy this, replace it in the command for data storage initialized contact address. So what is the expected output? I guess wallet address of super is the expected output. So yes, this is the wallet address of super which we have received, which means the data storage smart contract has got initialized successfully. And as we know that we would need this initialized contact address, we will save it for future use. So this is my data storage entry. I'll save it for future reference. So at this stage we are done with the process of access control and data storage. Now we'll come to version control installation. So let us copy this command to create the cargo project. For this, first I'll come out of data storage, run the cargo L1X create command here. This is done. Next, I need to get the lib.rs and cargo toml file. For this purpose, I'll go to version control, source, lib.rs file, copy the code, go to the code directory here, version control, source, lib.rs, replace this existing smart contract with the one that we have in the repo, and similarly I'll go to first this cargo toml file, copy it, come back here. This is the default cargo toml. We'll replace it with the one we have. this is done. Again, we'll go back to the readme file that we have. Okay. At this stage, we will build the version control contract. So for this, we need to traverse to the version control folder and then run cargo L1X build. So I'll go to cd, version control, paste it here to cargo L1X build. So as a part of this, we will be getting a version control object file. Next step is deployment of the version control contract. For this purpose, as we know, we would need a wallet with some faucets, and for the technique that we have been using, we will simply get it from the you can say access control wallet store. I'll go there and right click it, copy, come to version control, right click and paste. So this will simply add wallet store to my version control contract folder as well. So once this is done, now I will copy the command for deployment. This is the one. So we will copy the command here to deploy. So once the contact deployment is done, now we can initialize the version control contract. So let us see what are the arguments that we need to pass. So for this, as we notice, there are two parameters, access control address and CID. So to the access control address, we are passing the access control initialized contact address, whereas for the CID, we are passing the data storage initialized contact address. So let us run this command. So the so the contact has got deployed, and let us replace the details that we need to pass in these commands. So first of all, we need this deployed contact address, which will get it from here, copy it and put it here. Next comes the arguments. The first one is access control address. So for this purpose, I'll first copy the access control initialized contact address. This is the one that we have, right? We'll copy it and delete this parameter. Add it here. Similarly for CID, CID is actually it actually stands for content ID as such, and representing the data storage initialized contact address, which we are getting it from here, putting it here, because version control is actually referring to these two things as such, isn't it? Access to the data. So once the version contact has initialized, next we will now confirm the version control contact initialization through this simple command. Same format, we are calling the owner method from this version control smart contract. So purpose is we can ensure that the contact has got initialized successfully, because if some details are not sent correctly in the arguments, then in that case your contact won't get initialized successfully. And who is the owner? Super is the owner of this version control contract, because we had initialized the contact using Super's wallet, isn't it? So let us try to run this command. So yes, we are getting Super's wallet address as the response, which means at this stage we have been successfully able to initialize the version control contract, and we will copy and save this initialized contact address of version control for future use. So this is done. Now let us start with the usage. So to understand the usage of AVD contracts, let us consider this scenario. So in this scenario, Super has a data object and Super gives Emma the approve permission. So what is this approve permission? That Emma will get the privilege to, you can say, share the data object which Super is owning. Next is Eva asks Super to share this data object with her, and actually Emma approves this Eva's request. So this is the scenario we are going to emulate. Let us start with the flow. So the very first step that we have is Emma request approve permission. So this command is run on behalf of Emma. So as you would have noticed or seen in our previous video, that whenever we are required to run a command on a particular user's behalf, we are required to import the wallet and then run the command. So for this purpose, I will ensure that I am using NVM version 18 to import the wallet, and then I'll use the command L1X CLI beta wallet import followed by the private key of Emma. So let us go to our list. This is the private key of Emma. Let us copy it, add it here and run it. So wallet has been imported and now we need to set it to be the default wallet. Reason being, we already have Super's wallet imported, right? And it is the default wallet as of now. So I need to set default wallet to Emma's wallet address. So this is done. Yes. Now for the request approve permission, we will be calling this request perm method from access control smart contract. And what are the arguments that we need to pass? So for this, we have to pass CID, data storage initialized contact address, and perm parameter with the value approve. So let us copy this command, put it here, and then replace the variables that we have, starting with the access control initialized contact address. So this is access control initialized contact address. We'll copy it, add it here. Next, what we need is data storage unit contact address, which is this one. Let us copy it. And we will add it here. And permission that we are requesting is approved. So we can run this command. So Emma has actually requested for the approve permission. After this, another thing is create share request, in the sense Eva is requesting for the share request. So as a part of this, let us see what she is required to pass. So we will be calling request share method from the access control smart contract, and the arguments that Eva needs to pass is data storage initialized contact address and the public key of Eva in base64 format. So first of all, since Eva is running this, we are required to import Eva's private key first and set wallet to Eva's as the default wallet. So for that purpose, we already have NVM use 18. I'll simply replace this with Eva's private key. So let us get Eva's private key. This is the one we have copied and put it here. So the wallet is imported. Now let us set it to default, where I'll be required to replace this with Ava's wallet address. So this is the one. Let us copy and add it here. So this is done. Ava is set to the default wallet. Yes. So at this stage, I will be creating the getting the base 64 first for Ava's wallet. This I'll copy, add it here, and then I'll add Ava's public key. So this is Ava's public key. Copy it, add it here. So this we have received, right? Now next is to use this command to create the share request. I'll add the command here. Okay, seems there is some space. I'll copy this command, manually copy and add it here and replace the variables that we have. So as a practice that we are following to miss out anything, we will start with the access control initialized contact address. So this is the one. I'll add it here. Request share is the name of the method that we are calling. CID in the sense content ID for which Ava wants to get the request, wants to get the access. So for CID we need to give this data storage. Add it here. Next comes base 64 format of the Ava's public key. So this we have it here since we had run the command. Yes, I'll copy it, add it here. So this is done. Now we can run the command. So as of now, Ava has created the share request. Now we will check the pending request. So we are checking the pending request on behalf of Super. So which means that I'll set the default wallet to be Super's wallet. And what are the details that we need to pass? We are actually calling pending request by CID, a method of the access control, and the argument that we need to pass is the CID, which is data storage initialized contact address. So for this purpose, first of all, let me set the default wallet to Super's. So this is wallets. This is Super's wallet. I'll add it here. Set it to default. This is done. And now I'll copy this command for checking the pending request. Copy it here. Add it. We'll first of all add the access control initialized contact address. So this is my access control initialized contact address which we need to provide in the command here. Method we are calling is pending request by CID, and the CID that we need to give is my data storage initialized contact address, which we will copy and add it here. So this is done. So let us see what output we get. So if you notice, we are getting these details. So this is the request IDX, which is 1. What is the request for? Request is for permission, and who is the user who has requested? This is the wallet address of the user starting with 2131. So if you notice, this wallet address is of Emma's, because Emma was the one who had initially requested for the permission to approve as such, isn't it? And after that, for which CID was this done? So this is the data storage initialized contact address, and the permission requested is approved. The second request that we have with the number 2 is share request. Who is the user? So if you notice, this is Eva's wallet address and the public key of Eva in the base64 format, and the CID is the data storage initialized contact address. So these are the pending requests for the given CID. So let us move ahead. Step 4 is to approve the permission request. So super approves Emma's permission request, and this command is done on behalf of super. So since we had run previous command on behalf of super, we are not required to do anything special now, because super's wallet has been set as the default wallet as of now. Let us have a look at what we'll be needing for this command. So approve perm is the name of the method of the access control smart contract, and for the arguments we are required to pass the request ID, so the permission request to be approved. So I'll copy this command and put it here. We will start with the access control initialized contact address replacement. So this is the one. Next we have is request ID of the permission to be approved. So if you notice, we had two requests, right? Request IDX1 and request IDX2. So which one is for approval? If you notice, request ID1 is for approval. So we need to provide here request ID to be 1. So this is done. Fifth step is check pending request. So once this approval is given, let us check what are the pending requests. So if you notice, we are running the step 3 command again as such. It's the same one. Okay, so for this purpose, we will simply scroll and get the previous command for this. Pending request by CID, isn't it? So this is the one, and let us run it. So if you notice, now from this list of pending requests, request ID 1 is not appearing since it has been approved. Now we move to step 6 to create shared data. Since Eva had requested to share the data, now super is creating the shared data for Eva. So this command is executed on behalf of super, since super is the owner of the data. So what are the details required? So if you notice, in this command we are actually initializing the data storage contact address with the deployed contact address as such. So we had a stored initialized data storage address but not deployed contact address, right? So how do we get that? So what we can do is we can simply try to retrieve the previous command that we had run, and apart from that, what are the details that you need to pass? That is something important. So since it is initialization of the data storage contact as such, we are required to pass name, description, public key in the base64 format for Eva, and the content in the base64 format. So for that purpose, what we would do is, first of all, let us try to get the base64 format for Ava's pub key, and that we had run, right? Yes, this is the one. This is the wallet address of Ava. So let us try to save. That is a better practice, even though we might not need it sometimes. At some places we happen to need it. So this is Ava's pub key. Okay. So now we will run the previous command to initialize the contact address since it is the same. So if you notice, we had initialized the data storage contact address with these details, right? So we are required to run it again, but this time with different details. So I am giving the name of the data to be Ava data, description to be Ava's demo data description, pub key. So this pub key is to be passed off Ava's in the base64 format. So anyways, we'll copy this, add it here, right? And the content that Ava needs to have. So let this be same and let us try to run it. So now what we will be able to get is an initialized data storage address, which we will be referring to as Ava data storage initialized address for the future purpose. Reason being, we would need it further. I am adding it here as such, and let us get it. So this is Ava's initialized data storage address as such. So this is done. Now we come to seventh step, which is approve the share request. Now since Super has given the permission to Emma, Emma has the privilege to approve the share request which was initially made by Eva as such and created by Super for sharing the data. So this command is executed on behalf of Emma, which means I need to set the default wallet to Emma. Let us do that first. So we would have the command for it, right? This is Super's wallet address. Let us mention or add Emma's wallet address here. This is the one. We'll add it here. Let Emma be the default wallet holder here. Now next is to run the method approve share of access control smart contract. And what are the details required? So notice, first one is request IDX. So as we had seen previously, request ID of Eva was 2 and shared CID. So this is the Ava's data storage initialized address we have received from the previous command. So let us try to run this. So based on the practice that we have been following, we will start with the access control initialized contact address. So here it is, access control initialized contact address that we need. Next, we will give the request ID of Ava's request. So which we had seen was 2 and then the shared ID. So this is the Ava's data storage initialized contact address we have just now received from the previous command, and we'll add it here. So now let us try to run the command to approve the share. So after that, next step is check pending request. So we are checking the pending request again, this command we had done previously, right? So at this stage, we should not be getting any pending request. So since we have mentioned this command is executed on behalf of Super, let us first try to set the default wallet to Super's and then run it. So this is Super's wallet address. This is done. And again, this is the previous command that we had run. Let us try to get it and run it again. So the method that we are calling is pending request by CID, right? So this is the command. So if you notice, now we are getting null response, which means as of now, there are no request pending for the given CID as such. This is the one. Now we come to step 9, that is submit shared data. So Super submits the just created shared data, and this command is run or executed on behalf of Super. So the things that we need to notice, this is a submit shared method which is called from the version control contract, and the arguments that we are required to pass is CID, which is Ava's data storage initialized address, and from CID, which is our initialized Super's data storage initialized address, you can say. So let us try to run this command. Okay, seems we'll simply copying it, add it here. We'll ensure that we remove the extra spaces so that the commands don't get executed on its own as such. So we shall update the GitHub for this, GitHub repo for this readme. So I will mention the version control initialized contact address here. We need to mention the CID, that is Ava's initialized storage address, which is this one. We'll copy and paste it here. Similarly, we need to have this data storage unit address from CID, which is this one. I'll copy this and we'll have to replace it here. This is done. Let us run it. Now we come to step 10, confirm data sharing. So to confirm the data sharing, we have approved shares method in access control, where we can give the data storage ID to get the details, and the second one that we have is get shared from version control initialized address. So let us try to run both of them one by one. We will start with the first one, this command. We'll copy it, put it here. replace the access control initialized contact address. It is the first one. And for this CID, we will give the data storage initialized contact address, which is this one. So let us run it. So we are getting this address as the response. If we notice, it is nothing but Ava's data storage address, which means that for the given CID, this is the one. This has received the shares approval as such. And the last command that we have is to run related to the version control get shared. Let us try to run this command. In this, we'll be required to give the version control initialized contact address. We will put the version control initialized contact address. This is done. No arguments need to be passed. So let us run this. So as a part of this, again we are getting the CID of the Ava's data storage initialized address and the version as well. Okay, so this is the way we can easily manage the access and version control for the data. So this is it for today. Keep following our L1X contact series to explore more functionalities like this. See you in the next video. Take care. Thank you.